Welcome. In this session, we will discuss Down to Earth edition for the month of November, and some of the major topics have been discussed related to climate and pertaining issues. So, the very first topic that has been discussed is the wetland walks. Now, this is a project in Velayani in Thiruvananthapuram, and this has been launched by an NGO known as Climate Hood. The idea is to replace the dry lectures with hands on learning experiences. So there is a kind of walk along the local area where the threatened ecosystem has been found for 2 to 3 kilometers, and then this walk has been reaching more than 3000 people. The idea is to get a Ramsar designation or a recognition for the site, so to involve better awareness and then take proactive actions. Now, some of the major threats that have been for the wetland include pollution, plastic waste, contamination, and encroachment in the nearby areas. So, what is the crucial thing about Velayani is to protect the farming, protect the flooding in the area, maintain a proper water balance and a climate balance, and therefore this Save Wetland initiative at an international level has been going through. The next is mandating the green industry. Now, greenhouse gas emission intensity targets rule 2025 and new carbon credit market has talked about 282 major industrial plants which must meet the legally binding emission reductions by 2027. So what happens is there is an industrial plant performance. It talks about overperformance and underperformance. Underperformance is where the emissions are more than the target, so it must cover the deficit either by purchasing the credit or by paying the penalty twice as well. If the emissions are less than legal targets, then it is a overperforming industry, so it earns a carbon credit certificate and sells those credit into the market. So if we look onto the breakdown, the 282 underperforming industries that have been identified are mainly cement, paper pulp, chloroalkali and aluminum industries, of which cement accounts for the most majority of the proportion, followed by paper and pulp, and therefore compliance in these four major energy intensive sectors is really important. So if we talk about the sector specific reduction targets, the highest have been for chloroalkali because this faces the most stringent percentage of reduction in the first phase, and as we said, the penalty is twice the penalty, twice the average trading price of the carbon credit that they have to pay, and this has been brought by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency for issuing carbon credit certificates and CPCB, which is the Central Pollution Control Board. Also, it helps us to understand the PAT scheme, which is the perform, achieve and trade, and align with the international standards of carbon emission, which is the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism, and meet the Paris Climate Change Agreement. The next is Gaza. Now, rebuilding Gaza in the post-truce stage is really important. So, if we look onto the statistics, nearly 60% of the infrastructure is damaged, with 80% of the farmland being damaged, and this data is from the Arba Institute, which talks about the damage. Widespread malnutrition, limited water supply and frequent power shortages are some of the major issues. Now, the part 2 recovery talks about long-term reconstruction at a cost of $70 billion, and the UN Human Rights Council panel, which talks about the offensive act as act of genocide against the community. The next is Global Health 2023. Now, if we talk about women versus men, we can see from 2021 to 2023 there has been a slight increase in the life expectancy post COVID for both male as well as female, rising somewhere close to 75 and 80. However, there has been an increasing mortality among the youth. Now, the complications come from pregnancy, childbirth, road accident, with more than 61% higher projected death among the young women in the age of 15 to 29, and this trend has been further increasing. There has been a shifting disease burden. The non-communicable diseases are increasing at a faster pace than the communicable diseases, and non-communicable now account for nearly 66% of the diseases. There has been a significant surge in mental health disorders, with anxiety disorders increasing by nearly 63%, depression increasing by nearly 26%, 36%. And then growing climate induced health impacts, which has been due to extreme weather conditions, extreme climatic conditions, and this annual trend has grown up by 6% in the last decade. Then the next is the conservation. So 2025 IUCN World Conservation Congress was held in Abu Dhabi, and it talked about the red list items and the species which have been officially declared extinct. So two of the species, slender-billed curlew, which was seen in 1995, and Christmas Island shrew, which was last seen in 1985, have been officially declared extinct, and they have seen numerous critical threats even for the migratory species, and the ecosystem being affected because of the invasive species and habitat loss. Now, new threats for Indian birds are mainly for the Indian crouser, Indian roller, Rufous tailed lark, and long-billed grasshopper warble. If we talk about the green sea turtle, there has been a recovery. The global status have shown that the recovery has been significant, and now it has turned into a least concern. However, previously it was under an endangered species. Now, tigers, new green status, which is classified as critically depleted, but conservation efforts are working. So there is a potential aspect that recovery can come for tigers in the near future. So this Abu Dhabi conference actually talked about tackling the fossil fuel supply, regulating the wildlife pet trading, Motion 108, which mandates the development of the guidelines to control the commercial pet trading, and studying the ecocide as a crime, which is under the Motion 061, for understanding the recognition of ecocide, which is a harm to the environment, as an international crime. And under this, there have been 5 core principles for call to action, which include reaffirming the nature, making justice more affordable with a right-based approach, advancing the knowledge, which is the indigenous and the scientific knowledge together, having a better resources, and better alignment from various sectors. The next is the India's systemic failure in drug regulation. Now, this was seen in the recent case of the cough syrup that was seen, where the chemical diethyl glycol was found beyond the permissible limit, which led to significant impact in the regions of Madhya Pradesh, mainly Chhindwara, Betul and Pandura, with critical cases in Nagpur as well. And 3 of the major tainted brands included Coldrev, Respifresh and Relife. And then the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization notified the WHO about the batches of the syrup which had beyond permissible diethyl glycol. Now, if we talk about this, there have been recurring tragedies. In 2022, it was in Gambia, again related to cough syrup. Again in Uzbekistan in 22, Cameroon in 23 and 24 in India, and all of them have been due to cough syrups only. Now, the major cause is the manufacturers are trying to have a cost cutting. They use substandard ingredients, then they don't have adequate testing methods, and finally a failed product reaches into the market. Some of the major failures in the regulatory systems for drug control include outdated drugs, poor coordination, weak penalties that are imposed, no adequate testing infrastructure, and no transparency into the system. So it creates an adverse effect onto the system. There are rarely reported cases by the doctors, and there is no data for pharmacovigilance. So ultimately, the post-market surveillance needs to be strengthened, and that could make it more accountable for the system. The next is the Kedarnath tragedy. For more than 1 decade after the 2013 Kedarnath tragedy, where there was environmental threats, there are still resettlement issues for more than 100 villages identified, and these families are still in danger. There had been a case of Joshimath land subsidence as well. The pace of relocation is very slow. Most of the families are being asked to relocate, but only few of them has actually relocated. The factors which are aggravating the climate induced migration includes extreme weather conditions, the erosion because of the hydroelectric power projects and land subsidence, and also there has been a compensatory gap because those with land receive some monetary support to rebuild, but those without land actually do not receive any kind of compensation, and they do not have any leverage in which they could move to a new place and settle down. So there has been a constant policy deadlock where forest use has been allowed, and the right guidelines have not been given, and the land has been allocated for developmental projects without proper clearances. The next is a data driven planning for restoring water in Karnataka. Now this has been possible through a digital innovation system. Under the new system, which is known as the CLART app, there is the Jal Sanjeevani initiative, which talks about the GIS, the terrain analysis, the ideal site selection. Then there is an effective water recharge and restoration of the wells and the water. There are more than 120 ineffective systems which have been identified, and the outcomes have significantly improved after CLART post 2021, and this has been because of the effective intervention and a shift in the real system, which has led to sustainable success with regular maintenance of the structure. The next is the UP sanitation paradox. Here the UP is actually, Uttar Pradesh is facing environmental health crisis due to mismanaged fecal sludge. If we talk about the fecal sludge treatment plants, only 20% of them are working on utilized capacity. However, 80% of them are on an unutilized capacity. So one size fits all does not work. There are many fecal sludge treatment plants which have a fixed capacity without analyzing the actual load, and then there is faulty collection and disposal, which has been affecting badly the regions of Uttar Pradesh. So there has been two important case studies, one from Sikorabad, which is based on a pull model, where the town creates incentives for the participants to have a formal system to desludge. However, there is a push system which started in Gonda, where the problem has been tackled by eliminating any kind of illegal dumping by the private operators. Now the solution comes from either on demand basis, or it should be scheduled before it is asked for, and both of these have worked well. However, if it is prior scheduled, then the responses have been better. Now some of the recommendations include the private operators to be brought in, maintaining a proper schedule, a real data for planning, and actual load to be identified before using the centers. The next is coral reefs worldwide. Now coral reefs have been tipping. They are reaching the tipping point. That means at a point they would automatically start to destroy themselves. So if we talk about the hard corals, nearly 70% of them are lost in Great Barrier Reef. Only 30% of them remain, and 1 billion people are facing frequent intense marine heat waves, which leaves no time for recovery and leaves the coral reef into further distress. Now, if we talk about the severity of the event, the first event happened in 1998, and the event 4, which happened in 2023, is nearly thrice as much as severe as compared to the first event in 1998. That means with the significant intensity in the events that are occurring, there has to be an immediate conservation effect, which includes rescuing it, growing it into nurseries, transplanting it to other areas, and restoration in terms of number. So coral gardens and Soneva in Maldives are some of the corals which are actually taken into account. So selective breeding, heat conditioning, assisted evolution are some of the ways through which this problem could be resolved, and conservation includes definitely maintaining a strong habitat, restoring the scientific community, which includes the gene bank, nurseries, building them heat resilience, and then cutting out the global emissions globally. The next is India's patient shift. Because we are prioritizing patient and affordable medicine, there has been important thing that we need to understand. There is one drug which is known as risdiplam, and here if it is a generic medicine, it costs somewhere around 15,000. However, the same branded medicine cost about 6 lakh. So there is a price reduction in Natco, which is nearly 97%, which makes the life-saving treatments very accessible, accessible and successful. Similarly, there is Novartis Vyamda. Now again, this is for a heart failure. Now the patients who actually are using it find there has been a significant reduction in the price drop. So there is an expected price drop of nearly 70%. Over 15 generic firms are set to launch, which drastically cuts the price to around 600 to 700 per strip. And this is the technology is the supramolecular complex, which is the very interdisciplinary aspects of chemistry. The next is the laws that explain it. So company actually files a patent under a new form for the drug. Then it asks whether there has been a therapeutic efficiency or not. If it is no, then the patent is denied. If it is yes, then for the innovation basis, the patent is granted, and the cheap drugs are brought into the market, which are more efficient and reasonably priced for the public. The next is the tribal villages in Madhya Pradesh are reclaiming food security, which have seen nearly 200 more than 200 villages coming together in the district of Mandala. Now here, post-pandemic, there has been a shift and a return to the traditional food. Shifting to the food, the villages are actually finding sometimes the forage more prominent, and the markets are more beneficial. So some of the ways through which they are shifting includes millet, which has replaced the rice market, wild greens, which is foraging the daily nutrition, mushrooms, and forest fruits. So those are some of the ecological revival systems in the remote areas or the tribal areas. The next is rooftop solar transformation in the Shekhalwadi village. Nearly 1000 residents have 100% solar powered homes now with zero electricity village. Now this has worked through the education and the financial support from the village itself. So the daily life used to be disrupted with unreliable agriculture, no proper education, domestic hardships where smoke kitchens were to be used, and after darkness or after sunset there was no light. So with this solarization, the project, which actually has now an annual revenue of 6 lakh, provides all the basic services which were previously not available, and this village has secured itself at the level from the village level to a larger panchayat, and residents earn a reward of nearly 50 lakh from the Maji Vasundhara campaign. So making solar affordable has been one of the important works. The per unit solar cost had been nearly 68,000, which the resident was allowed to pay only small part, and the rest of the village is now connected to the grid. So the extra energy which is generated goes to the grid, which could be used in the off seasons. So it brings in economic savings, better education, better healthcare facilities, better quality of life, better agriculture, and better kitchen facilities. The next is Panipat's water crisis. Now there has been a significant textile industries which are thriving in the regions of Panipat, Ludhiana, and the surrounding areas. Now here, if we talk about the population share, disproportionately high share has been seen from Panipat, with high levels of fluoride, nitrate, iron, arsenic, aluminium, uranium, which have been found in the groundwater contamination, and a very significant proportion is untreated. Also, the human cost is very high. There has been public distrust and reported health issues with drop in the water consumption which has been seen. The unstable groundwater supply has been seen with a very significant surge in the groundwater consumption. So the textile industry, which has boomed up there has led into a huge amount of untreated water, with either in the form of river pollution or groundwater pollution, with public health and distress and over extraction that could be seen. The next is the water crisis is not just for Panipat, but there has been the fundamental problem where the class privilege and policy failures have been seen, and the proportion of policies to solve one problem has created crisis for unintended reasons. There has been real estate expansion in cities like Kolkata and metropolitans, which are drastically eliminating the ponds, the wetlands, the groundwater systems. And if we see Bangalore, in the past there was elevated terrain with cascading lake systems and water being distributed naturally. However, now the water is being pumped from distant Kaveri river, and it is costly, it is non-local, it is insecure, and lakes are polluting, shrinking, ultimately leading to social price for the water, where tank mafias are growing and wealthy residents would be enjoying swimming pools at home. However, poor families are rationing up water and paying more for even a lesser quantity of water. The next is soil degradation. Under soil degradation, we have seen that 16 million square kilometers of the land has faced extreme degradation by 2050, it is believed, and there has to be a global economic loss which is predicted somewhere at around $878 billion that could be seen. Now, forest, water, climate are some of the major pillars. However, soil is a less talked about issue in most of the international agreements, but soil does matter because soil essential sustainable development goals are really important, and they are meeting, if there is a healthy soil, we are able to meet 12 of the 17 sustainable goals, which either relate to hunger, poverty, climate action in some way or the other. So to make soil secure, there are 5 important pillars that have to be identified: building up the capacity, the condition of the soil, the capital, because soil is a natural asset, finally the connectivity of the soil, and codification, where proper policies and laws implementation could be done either through an interim solution or a long-term solution. There has to be a 2-track approach to elevate any kind of soil protection in global governance. So thanks for joining. Have a wonderful day. Of course, we'll be covering more important topics of Down to Earth, Yojana and Kurukshetra on a regular basis. So stay subscribed. The handouts for these are available on Exam Race. Happy learning.